Hello, beloved saints and sons and daughters of the Almighty. Thank you so much for listening. Today we're doing Numbers 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And this Torah portion is called Beha'alacha, which means when you ascend. We all want to ascend. We all want to be ascending. Every year we should be ascending and walking up Jacob's symbolic ladder, right? Taking a step higher and becoming holier and righteouser and less sinful and less, and more walking in righteousness, right? So we want to be walking up and ascending. Every year we should be getting better. That is the walk that we need to do. Okay, so anyways, this Torah portion is all about setting up the lamps, setting apart the Levites, consecrating them to Yah. It's been a year since they left Egypt, and they're doing the Passover again, the second one since they left. The first one was when they left, and the priests are commanded to blow the silver trumpets on the holy days, the new moons, and the Sabbath. They're commanded to blow those. And it's calling of the congregation forever. And so I have a silver trumpet that I blow because it says in 1 Peter 10:9 we are a royal priesthood, a holy nation. And Revelation says we are priests and kings. And so under the order of Melchizedek, we're under the order of Melchizedek according to Hebrews. So I believe that we should blow the silver trumpets before we meet on the Sabbaths, the new moons, and holy days. And I think it's a good thing. It's a command forever. And we want to try to keep every commandment that we can, and to the best of our ability, right? We want to try to keep them all, and we might not get it exactly right, but I think Yah gives us credit for trying to keep all His commandments. And basically, the only commandments that I think that we should not do, if you're not trained as a priest to do sacrifices, and there's no place where Yah puts His name, then you can't do sacrifices, right? And if you're not a judge, if you're not a United States judge, and you're not have not gone to school, law school or anything, then you can't order someone to be sent to the electric chair or be stoned because you're not a judge, right? That's the judge's job. So all the other commandments in the Bible should be kept. Yes. Okay, so let's get on with this. Okay, so Numbers 8 is really awesome. It's one of my favorite chapters in the whole scriptures, because this is when Yahweh married Israel. This is when Yahweh married Israel. It's on the Day of Atonement. And what better day to marry your bride when she is the cleanest she'll ever be all year. And so it's quite fascinating. And so let me pull up the verses that help you see that yes, he did marry Israel in Numbers 8. Numbers 8, yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to start with Numbers 8:10. It says, "You shall present the Levites before Yahweh. The children of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh for a wave offering." Okay, I'm going to stop right there. This is the first and only time in all of Scripture that humans are given as a wave offering. And what is a wave offering? Okay, a wave offering is when you would take the grain and you would wave it toward the altar, the priest would, and they would symbolically give it to Yahweh, and Yahweh would symbolically give it back to them. So they'd wave it toward them and back to them. That's a wave offering. So they're waving these humans, these Levites, the sons of Aaron, the priests are Levites as well. And the Levites are, they're not priests, but they are, they're all given to Yahweh as a wave offering. And this is quite fascinating because it's the only time in Scripture you see humans as a wave offering. And they're giving themselves to Yahweh symbolically, and He's giving them back to themselves, right? So that's exactly what a wave offering is. And so this is the marriage, the ceremony. And they also, right before this, they had cleansed themselves and shaved their whole body. They shaved their whole body. And so why would they shave their whole body? And I think it has to do because the Levites are going into the tabernacle. The sons of Aaron are allowed to go in the tabernacle. And of course, they're the priests, right? The sons of Aaron, who are also Levites. They are also Levites, but they're just the sons of Aaron. They're the only ones who can be the priests. And they go into the tabernacle. And so the only thing I could come up with was a logical answer. Maybe some of them had lice or some kind of hair bugs or something. And so he wanted to shave them off, because you can't bring a dead bug inside the tabernacle. Then you would defile it. It would be unclean. Anything that you bring in dead inside the tabernacle would defile the tabernacle, and that's the only reason I could come up with, because there's quite a bit of Levites there. But let me continue on with Numbers 8:11. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before Yahweh for a wave offering on the behalf of the children of Israel, that they may be theirs to do the service of Yahweh. The Levites shall lay their hands on the heads of the bulls, and shall offer the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering, to make atonement for them. You shall set the Levites before Aaron, before his sons, and offer them as a wave offering to Yahweh. Amazing. Okay, thus you shall separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. So here he is taking possession. He possesses them now. They are theirs. They shall be mine. That's his taking his bride. So basically, the Levites are symbolically the ones that are the bride, right? They're doing service for Yahweh full time. They're not like the regular Israelites who go out hunting or farming or whatever. They're full time. So they're symbolically the bride of all of Israel. And all of Israel is getting married, but symbolically the Levites are the bride here. And the priests in particular wear all white. All the priests wear all white. And even the high priest on the Day of Atonement takes off his elaborate garments and wears all white, as you see in this picture. And he goes before Yahweh on the Day of Atonement and cleanses the people, throwing blood on the ark. And so this is the cleanest all of Israel is the whole year. So what better day to get married is when your bride is the cleanest. And just like a bride wears all white, all the priests are wearing all white. And even the high priest humbles himself, takes off his elaborate garments, and just wears all white. And so they are the bride symbolically. And so this is the marriage. This is the marriage. And so I'm going to continue on. Numbers 8:15. And that the Levites shall go into the service of the tent of meeting, and shall cleanse them and offer them as a wave offering. For they are wholly given to me from among the children of Israel. Instead of all who open the womb of the firstborn of all the children of Israel, I have taken them to me. For the firstborn among the children of Israel are mine, both man and animal. On the day that I struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself. I have taken the Levites instead as the firstborn among the children of Israel. So the Levites are like the firstborn. They're the priests. And so they're like priests, even though they're not, all the Levites are not all priests and don't all do priestly duties, but they are like priests in a way. They're doing full-time service and ministry for the kingdom. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, are actually the ones who do the sacrifices and the officiating inside the tabernacle. And they are Levites as well. And so this is it. And what's really fascinating is, in Jewish tradition, the bride and groom fast for 24 hours before their wedding day to make themselves clean and pure before their marriage. So it's no different with the father. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this is a Jewish tradition, because I think back in the day, everybody knew that this is when Yahweh got married to Israel. And he proposed to Israel in Exodus 19:8. He says, "Will you all keep my commandments?" The marriage vows. And they all said in one accord, "Yes, we will, we will." All of Israel said this. And so that was the engagement, and they didn't get married right away. And then here's another interesting fact. In Numbers 7, just right before this, Numbers 8, is when they consecrated and dedicated the tabernacle to Yahweh, right? It's called the Hanukkah. Hanukkah means dedication. So they did a dedication ceremony. This is actually the first Hanukkah in all of Scripture. And it was a dedication of the temple, is what it is. It's a dedication of Hanukkah means dedication. They were dedicating the temple, and each tribe gave hundreds of offerings of animals for 12 days, if you read number 7. So the tabernacle was finished, and they dedicated it and consecrated it to Yahweh. And notice that Yahweh did not dwell with his bride, the priests, right, who were wearing all white, until after the wedding. The priests weren't allowed to go into the tabernacle and temple until they're married. They can't dwell with Yahweh, and it's no different with today. You propose to your wife, and then you go build a house for her, or buy a house or rent a house for her. And then you get married like 6 months later or a year later or whatever the wedding day is. And then you get married. And then you carry her over the threshold. And you do a threshold covenant. You bring her across the threshold. And then you dwell together in the temple that in your house you're going to live with. And this is no different with Yahweh. He wanted the house to be done first, then the marriage, and then they lived together. And then after this, they were doing sacrifices. The priests were doing sacrifices. They're wearing all white, just like the bride. And what were the priests doing? They were cooking for their husband. They were cooking food for their husband, just like a bride would cook a meal for their husband. So it just all makes sense. It's just all comes together. I have a whole video that talks about this a little bit more in detail, and it's called the Feast of Yahweh. And if you look at that, you can really see some more evidence proving that this is the wedding day. I truly believe that. And let me give you another verse real quick. In the New Living Translation, the Levites will belong to me. In the English Standard Version, is Levites shall be mine. And so it's basically saying that he owns them. They're his possession now, right? They're actually the inheritance, right? And so I truly believe that this is the wedding day. And I'll just give you a quick summary. Yahweh saves Israel on Passover, right? He saves his wife. Then on Shavuot, Pentecost, he proposes to in Exodus 19:8, and they all agree and they say. And then on the Feast of Trumpets, the Yom Teruah, is the announcement and the invitation. It's a blowing of the trumpets, silver trumpets, and it's an announcement and invitation to the wedding. So they're invited to go to the wedding. And then on Day of Atonement they marry, and then on Sukkot they dwell together, which is actually only 5 days after the Day of Atonement is Sukkot, and they're dwelling together and doing the sacrifices and stuff. So it just makes perfect sense, and it also points to the Messiah. Messiah saved the whole world on Passover, and on the on Pentecost, Shavuot, they were baptized in the name of Yeshua. And when you get baptized, you commit to the marriage vows, the commandments. You're going to keep the commandments, the marriage vows, and you're taking Yeshua's name. When you get baptized, you get baptized in the name of Yeshua, so you're taking his name in marriage. So you're engaging yourself to Yeshua. Then the Feast of Trumpets is when the Messiah returns. It's the invitation and the announcement of the wedding. And then also the Day of Atonement. Yeshua is going to take us back on a second Exodus, it says in Isaiah 11, to the Promised Land. He's going to bring us back on the Day of Atonement, which is the 120th Jubilee. The Jubilee always starts on the Day of Atonement. And it'll be the 120th Jubilee, which is 6,000 years. So it'll be three things. It'll be the marriage supper of the Lamb, which is going to be on the Day of Atonement. It's going to be the Day of Atonement, which will be a huge party because it'll be the best Day of Atonement ever. And it'll be the 120th Jubilee, which is the finale of Satan ruling on earth. He will no longer rule, but Yeshua will rule. And Yahweh over him, of course. And then we get to dwell with Yeshua for 1,000 years. And they're going to build a new tabernacle, a new Sukkot, a new home for us, the bride and the husband. We're symbolically marrying Yeshua, of course. It's symbolic. And it's going to be 5 miles by 7 miles long. This new temple is going to be 5 miles by... And the princes, right, the kings, and the priests, the sons of Zadok, will all dwell in this temple, this tabernacle, and there's plenty of room for lots of people. And so the whole thing, it points to this. All the feast days are a wedding rehearsal and a wedding memorial when Yahweh married Israel. So I have a whole video on it. It talks about it a little more in depth, and so if you want to take a look at that, it's a good time to do it. All right, well, let's move on to the next topic here. All right, so I have a question for you. What was the tree of life? What was the tree of life in the garden? And this is just for fun. It's a theory that I'm throwing out there. It's not, set in stone by any means. It's just a theory based on, a lot of things I see in the scriptures. I believe possibly that the tree of life could have been an almond tree, right? And the reason why is just like this menorah that's in the scriptures here is in the shape of an almond tree, right? And is close to Yah's throne. I believe so was the tree of life next to Yah's throne on earth, right? The Garden of Eden was Yah's throne on earth. It says in Ezekiel 28, it was his throne area, and it was his holy mountain, and I believe that he dwelled there with his children, and it was and Adam and Eve were prince and princess, right? So they dwelled in the throne area on earth, which was the Garden of Eden. And so this tabernacle is a replica of that somewhat, right? It's his throne area on earth again, and Yah's throne is in the Holy of Holies, and then right out front is the menorah in the holy place, and then the altar and all that stuff. So it's really a picture of his throne on earth again. And so there's a correlation between this lamp and keeping the commandments and the tree of life, right? So just like the light is a menorah, would be a light in a dark place, is it when we keep the commandments. It brings light to a dark world, right? When we keep the commandments and other people aren't, we are a light to that. So Proverbs 6:23 says, when we keep the commandments, let it be a light and a lamp. So here again, it's a tie-in. And keeping the commandments is also how we become righteous, right? And that is a tree of life, it says in Proverbs 11:30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. So when we keep the commandments and we become righteous, this is a tree of life. So there's a big correlation here. And so was the almond tree, and then the other reason why I think the almond tree, because there's a correlation between a light and a lamp and keeping the commandments and the tree of life. There's a correlation with those three things. Being a light, keeping the commandments is being a light, and also when you keep the commandments, it's a tree of life. So there's a connection right there. There's three things being said in Scripture, and then it points to this menorah being an almond tree. And also the other factor is, why was Aaron's staff, why did it bud almond flowers and almonds, right? It bared fruit. And they put that in the Holy of Holies. That is placed in the Holy of Holies with the manna. And the manna and the and the staff was not in the Ark of the Covenant. Only the Ten Commandments are in the Ark of the Covenant. I just want to clarify that. It says that. I can give you that verse later. But anyway, it's in the Holy of Holies. Why is that? It's another picture of, could this be the tree of life? I think it's a hint. And Yah likes to do that. He likes to put little hints in the scriptures. I'm not saying this is for sure 100%. I'm just throwing this out as a theory, because that's how Yah works, right? That's how he wants to hide these little secrets in the Bible, and he wants us to find them. And it's fun. Okay, here's another hint and a clue, possibly. Bethel. This is where Jacob he saw Jacob's ladder, right? And this was Bethel was also called Luz. Luz means almond tree. And so could this possibly have been where the tree of life was? Maybe, possibly. I'm just throwing this out there. Because it's 10 miles north of Jerusalem, And we know that Yah only dwells in the Holy Land, right? He only dwells in Israel. He's never seen outside of Israel, ever once. In fact, I truly believe that Mount Sinai is the very southernmost tip of Israel, the very southernmost tip. And because Yahweh, he doesn't change. He never leaves Israel. His eyes are always on Israel. And so he never leaves Israel. He's never seen anywhere else in the world. Of course, he can be seen, but scripturally speaking, he's never seen anywhere else. So I believe that the Garden of Eden had to be in the land of Israel. But we have to remember that the land of Israel before the flood was different and could encompass different territories. And also, before the land was separated in Genesis 10, the land was separated too. It was a lot different. So we don't know how big the land of Israel was before that. But anyways, could Bethel also be called Luz, where the tree of life was, and it wasn't an almond tree? And because Jacob calls Luz the house of Yah. He calls it the house of Yah. Well, why is he calling it the house of Yah if, like, Jerusalem is supposed to be the house of Yah? Why is he calling it the house of Yah? Was this where the throne was at one time before the flood? And he also calls it the gate of heaven. So it's a gate to heaven too. And he could see angels going up and down. Well, wouldn't it make sense that he would dwell where there's an entrance to heaven? Possibly this is where his throne area was. Possibly. I'm just throwing it out there. And I just think it's interesting, and I think it's fun to study and to look over. And yeah, I like it. It's fun. But it's just a theory. I'm just throwing it out as a theory. Okay, there's a verse in Hebrews 9:4 that kind of indicates that maybe the manna and Aaron's rod are in the Ark of the Covenant, but that's incorrect. And so it's a misunderstanding. And so let me go ahead and clarify that for you. First off, let's get a second witness, which is right here in Exodus 16:32. It says, Moses said, "This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. Let an omer full of it be kept throughout your generations, that they may see the bread which I fed you with in the wilderness when I brought you out of the land of Egypt." Moses said to Aaron, "Take a pot and put an omer full of manna and lay it up before Yahweh to keep it throughout your generations." Right? So he's going to lay it up before the testimony. He's not laying it up. It's in 34 it says, as Yahweh commanded Moses, say Aaron, lay it up before the testimony to be kept. He didn't say put it inside the testimony. He said put it before it. So that's one indication right there that it was not in the Ark of the Covenant, which many believe. It was beside it in the Holy of Holies, though. And then also Aaron's rod. Let me go ahead and read that. That's number 17. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and take rods from them on each father's house of all the princes, according to the father's houses, 12 rods, which each man's name is on. You shall write Aaron's name on the Levi's rod. There you shall be one rod for each head of their father's houses. You shall lay them up in the tent of meeting before the covenant where I meet with you. It shall..." See how it says laid up before the tent of meeting? It shall happen that the rod of the man whom I shall choose shall bud. I will make murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against you, cease from me. Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and all the princes gave them rods, for each prince was one, according to their father's houses, a total of 12 rods, or staffs. Aaron's rod was among the rods. Moses laid up the rods before Yahweh in the tent of the testimony. See, he laid them up before Yahweh in the tent of Moses, not in the Ark of the Covenant. And on the next day, Moses went to the tent of the testimony, and behold, Aaron's rod for the house of Israel had sprouted, budded, produced blossoms, and bore ripe almonds. Moses was able to see the rod blossom. This would not have happened if it was inside the ark. Moses brought all the rods from Yahweh to all the children of Israel. They looked at each man, and Yahweh said to Moses, "Put back the rod of Aaron's before the covenant," right there, before the covenant, not in it, "to be kept for a token." And then the icing on the cake, of course, is Hebrews 9:4 says that I'll just go ahead and read it here. So, yeah, it's basically Hebrews 9:3. It starts off by saying after the second veil. It doesn't say in the Ark of the Covenant. So let me go ahead and read that. Hebrews 9:3. This is where the confusion comes from. They believe it's in the Ark of the Covenant. After the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer, and the Ark of the Covenant are overlaid around about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had the manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tablets of the covenant. So all these, some people, they bunch them together and say they're in the Ark of the Covenant, but no, if you read the verse in Hebrews 9:3, and especially in the King James, it has it correctly. It says, and after the second veil. So they're talking about the Holy of Holies, inside the Holy of Holies. So I just wanted to clarify that, just in case some people believe that, we want to prove all things and hold on to what is good. So, yes, we want to make sure that we are accurate and when we talk about stuff, because a lot of people believe it's inside the Ark of the Covenant. I just wanted to talk about what's the difference between a wave offering and a heave offering. I think I talked about the wave offering is you symbolically give it toward Yahweh, you wave it toward the altar, and he symbolically gives it back to you in order for the priest to eat it. And the heave offering is basically you're doing a squat. Instead of waving it toward the altar, you're picking it up from the ground and you're lifting it up to heaven. And that's a heave offering, symbolically giving it to Yahweh, and Yahweh symbolically gives it back to you. But I have an interesting topic on this wave offering, and because, well, just hear me out, because this is interesting, and it's just I'm not judging anyone when I say this, and I'm not being critical, but I want to throw this out there as something that I believe that needs to be said. And I see this in Scripture, so I just wanted to share it. So I'm going to ask you, what is the biggest building in your hometown or your big city, like a big city near you? What is the biggest building? And most of the time, for us, it's like Jack Murphy. We're in San Diego, so we're at Jack Murphy Stadium. It holds 75,000 people. So it's the biggest building where people gather and to meet. In Jerusalem, what is the biggest building that people would gather and meet at? Well, the biggest building that in Jerusalem that people would meet at to gather is the temple, right? Especially King Herod's temple. It was quite elaborate, and there was plenty of room for Gentiles. There was room for all the people, and anybody could visit the temple, but they couldn't go into the temple area. Of course, only the priests, the sons of Aaron, could go in there, and the Levites could go in there, but they couldn't go near the altar. But anyways, and what do people do in the parking lot before a football game? What do they do? Well, they're tailgating, right? And they're having a barbecue, they're cooking, they're drinking beers, and watching football and stuff like that. And they have the barbecues, and they're cooking a meat, and they're cooking baby back ribs and all these things, on these barbecues, right? And what does Yahweh call his tabernacle, his temple? Well, in 1 Chronicles 28:2, King David rose to his feet, saying, "Hear me, my brothers and my people. I have it in my heart to build a house for the rest of the Ark of the Covenant of Yahweh, and for the footstool of my Elohim." And I made preparations for the building. So he wants to build a footstool for Yahweh, and his footstool is this temple, this tabernacle. It's where Yah puts his feet. And so we come before the foot of Yahweh and we worship him. And so this is symbolic, right? Of course. Psalms 132:7 says, "Let us go to his dwelling place. Let us worship at his footstool." So this temple, this Jerusalem, this tabernacle is his footstool. We come before the foot of Yah and we worship him, right? And so, what do most people do on Sundays and Saturdays instead of going to church? They're watching football. In fact, some people Some people watch football on their smartphones while they're in church. I see. I think that's interesting, right? So Saturday is college football, right? And that gets in the way of the Sabbath, the true Sabbath being on Saturday, according to the Bible, the scriptures. And then Sunday, a lot of people go to church on Sunday, even though it's not commanded in Scripture. I mean, you can keep every day holy, but you're commanded to keep Saturday holy and not work. So if you're doing your errands or you're shopping or you're doing your laundry and you're doing gardening on the Sabbath, you should stop doing that, because you need to rest on that day. It's commanded in Scripture. We need to make sure that we're following Scripture and not a religion, a man-made doctrine, right? So we're commanded to work 6 days and do all our errands and do all of our work and go to work and stuff. And then on the seventh day, Saturday, we rest and we don't work, right? We don't watch college football on Saturday. And if you're going to church on Sunday, more people watch the Super Bowl than go to church, which is another sad thing. Anyway, okay. So, what is the biggest sport in the world? What is the biggest sport in the world? Well, it's soccer. What is soccer called everywhere else in the world except for America? It's called football. Football. F-U-T-B-O-L. And football. And they have 3.5 billion people watch the championship game. 3.5 billion people watch the championship game of soccer. That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot. There are over 4 billion football fans. If you add soccer and American football together, there are over 4 billion football fans, and there's only 2.2 billion Christians. So there are more people united in football, in the sport of football, than Christianity, which is another sad point, right? I just want to say that I think there's 3 levels in our walk. There's the world, right? You can be in the world, and there's 2 levels within that. You can be in the world and be a wicked person in the world, or you can be a high moral standing person and not have any religion, right? You can just have high morals and you just do good. And then there's people that go to church, right? And they try to follow the rules of the Bible, but they add in a little bit of doctrines of men and traditions of men that are unscriptural. But they are seeking Yahweh, and they're praying to the Almighty, which is good. They pray to the Almighty, the Bible, and they use the Bible. So this is better than being in the world, because anyone who's friends with the world is an enemy to Yah, it says. We don't want to be an enemy to Yah. So that's good. But even better than that is to get rid of all the religious man-made traditions of men and all the doctrines of men and just follow what the Bible says. And once you do that, then you become a citizen in Yah's kingdom. And that's what he really wants, because Yah is not a Southern Baptist. He is not evangelical. He's not apostolic. He is not a Catholic. He's not a Jehovah's Witness. He's not a Mormon. He is a king. He's a king. He sent his son to bring a kingdom, not a religion. He doesn't want members of a church. He wants citizens in his kingdom. He wants us to advance his territories and his kingdom and bring more people to being citizens in his kingdom, right? And so that includes just reading the Bible, and that's why I say don't keep Sunday. This was started by Roman Emperor Constantine in 325 AD. He mandated everybody keep Sunday. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. Saturday is the true Sabbath according to the Scriptures. Genesis 2, read Genesis 2, Exodus 31, and Hebrews 4:9. I'm off track here again. Okay, but anyways, so let's go back to this. So there is 4 billion football fans. They do similar things to priestly service, right? So what the biggest building in Jerusalem is the temple. The biggest building in America is a football stadium. The biggest, the priests would make sacrifices and do sacrifices to Yahweh. It seems like the people that are tailgate party are doing sacrifices to their gods, right? Possibly, right? And then, what's the other thing? Oh, okay. So they're, instead of going to church, they're watching football on Saturday and Sunday, right? They're watching college football on Saturday, and then Sunday they're watching. There should be keeping it holy, right? And that's not keeping it holy. And so there's more football fans. There's 4 billion football fans, and that's almost double 2.2 billion Christians and 4 billion football fans. So are these people going to the foot of, and also it says here that King David says that, I'll read Ezekiel 43 says, and he said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne and the place of my soles of my feet, where I dwell in the midst of the people of Israel. He's talking about the temple. So we come before the foot of Yah and we worship him at the tabernacle, the temple, right? And so we symbolically come to his feet. So are these football players coming to the foot of Baal? B-A-A-A-L. B-A-A-L. Baal is a false god. Are they coming to the foot of Baal and worshiping him at these stadiums? And they're doing sacrifices. Are they doing this unknowingly? I mean, it's really ironic how there's so many similarities here. And don't get me wrong here, because I play football with my son. I throw the ball, and we play baseball, and we play, we do basketball and all that stuff. And sometimes I don't ever watch a whole game of football. I'm over with that. I used to watch football before, but it's 3 hours, and you really don't accomplish anything. You really don't. You don't. What is there? After watching a football game, does it really help anybody? Is there anything productive that comes out of it? Besides, people being healthy and exercising. But a lot of these people get injured. Many people lose their careers. These brain injuries are really intense for people. Causes all kinds of damage to their brain, these massive hits they get. So it's really kind of destructive. And a lot of people have been paralyzed from football. It's a violent sport, but anyways, what I'm saying is, could Satan use this? At the very least, it's a distraction from Yahweh, right? They're following this instead of following Yahweh. That's the very least, and it could be an idol. Now, once in a while, I'll watch some highlights of football. I don't watch football. I'll just, maybe if my somebody's watching on TV, I'll look at it, but I don't go out of my way to ever watch highlights or anything like that. But I don't think it's a sin to go to a game and watch a football game, or to watch a baseball game. I don't think it's a sin. I personally don't do it. I find them kind of somewhat boring, but I don't think it's necessarily sin. But I think that it can become idol, and it can get in the way of worshiping Yah. Instead of spending 3 hours watching a game, why not read the Bible for 3 hours? Or why don't you pray for 20 minutes? Or, I don't know. So I don't necessarily think it's a sin, but I think that there's some people can get sucked in and fully fall into this and become idolaters in a way. It can become idolaters. They buy these jerseys with the guy's name on it. They've got posters. They've got, stickers on their car. It could be. We want to worship Yahweh. We want to put him at the center of our life. We don't want to put anything before him. Anything can be an idol, though, right? I'm just seeing this in Scripture, and I'm seeing this in real life, and I'm just explaining it. So are they coming to the foot of Baal and worship him? Are they in baseball? Are they coming to the base of Baal and worshiping him, when we should be coming to the base and the foot of Yahweh and worshiping him? That's really what we want to make sure that we're not wasting our time doing stuff like this. And here was the icing on the cake that really got me, right? Because these Levites were a wave offering to Yahweh, right? And so this is what really got me, and this is why I'm sharing this. I didn't want to share this because I don't want to put people down that watch football, because I used to watch football, and I can understand it's fun to watch sometimes. And so I'm not saying if you watch the Super Bowl you're a sinner. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is be careful, because it can become an idol. It can distract you from Yahweh. That's what I'm really saying here. But here's the icing on the cake, and this is why I'm sharing it. Because the Levites were a wave offering to Yahweh. And what do the people in the stadium do when they lift their hands in the air and they stand up out of their chair, and everybody does it in a row? The whole stadium does it all the way around. And it's like they're waving. They're doing the wave, right? It's called the wave, right? Are they making themselves a wave offering to Baal? Are they giving themselves as a wave offering to Baal? I don't know. It's too close for comfort. I would say don't ever do the wave. Don't partake of that wave thing. Again, I'm not saying it's a sin to go to a game. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying be careful. Don't do the wave. I wouldn't do the wave because it's too close for comfort. And yeah, just be careful. Don't let football take your life over. Okay, enough with that. Thanks for listening to that. It's just something I wanted to throw out there that I saw when I was reading this, and I just saw there's a lot of similarities there. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question. Who is allowed to go in the temple area? Can anyone go in the temple area, the Holy of Holies? I'm sorry, the Holy of Holies. Can anyone go in the temple area, not just the Holy of Holies? We all know that only the high priest can go in the Holy of Holies. And the priests are allowed to go in the holy place, right? This is before the veil. And but I'm talking about the temple area. Who's allowed to go in there? Well, according to 2 Chronicles, it says that the Levites could go into the temple area, and but they could not go to the altar. So only the Levites and the sons of Aaron, who are also Levites, the priests, are allowed to go into the temple area. But according to Numbers 18, verse 2, they cannot. The Levites cannot come near the altar unless they die. So they could only go on the outer edges of the temple and maybe drop off wood and pick up dead carcasses and take them out and stuff like this. So it says right here, I'm going to go ahead and read it according to Numbers 18. Also bring with you the brethren of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, that they may be joined with you and serve you, while the sons are with you before the tabernacle of witness. They shall attend to the needs that are the needs of the tabernacle, but they shall not come near the articles of the sanctuary and the altar, lest they die. So the Levites can't even come next to the altar. And if you look at the tabernacle, the altar is right there. It's about 5 feet from the entrance. So I don't think they could come into the altar, but they could work right around the front entrance of the tabernacle, and that's it. They could step into it, but they couldn't come close. So I think it was only the priests. They were allowed to help, and they weren't allowed to come next to the altar. So only the priests are allowed to have full access, and the Levites had limited access, and no other person, no Israelite, was allowed to come in there at all. So that I just like to, understand things, and so in Scripture we see this. And first in 2 Chronicles, it's 2 Chronicles 23:6, and it says, no one is to enter the temple buildings except the priests and the Levites who are on duty. So they have to be on duty. And so that's where that verse is. Okay. Talk about this cloud. This cloud is really fascinating because it's this cloud that covered him. It was a fire by night. It kept them warm. It was a cloud by day. It kept the sun off them, and it guided them. It was like a shepherd. It leaded them to where they wanted. Yahweh was like the shepherd, and they were the flock, and they would follow him wherever he go. And he was their covering. And it's very interesting because a lot of people don't realize this, but it kept the rain off them. It blocked the rain. It was like a giant umbrella. And I found this in Isaiah. It's quite fascinating. So I'm going to read. This is a future event on the second Exodus when Yeshua is going to take us to the promised land. And it says, then Yahweh will create over all of Mount Zion and over the assemblies of the cloud of smoke by day and a glowing flame of fire by night. For over the glory there will be a canopy, a shelter given to shade, and for heat by day, and a refuge and hiding place from the storm and the rain. So here it is, blocking the rain in the future, and I believe it blocked the rain in the past as well. And that's just a theory, but based on Scripture. So here we have this thing. It's like a house. I mean, they're living in Yahweh's house, right? It's like a big canopy, and it's they were being schooled. They were being taught the Torah, right? And they were being punished when they broke the Torah, and it's there he was feeding them the manna and giving them water. So he was feeding them. He was like their father. They were living in his house. They were children, and he was raising them up and teaching them the Torah. So it was the biggest homeschool in recorded history. 1.6 million people being homeschooled over this big roof of a house that blocked the rain and the sun and kept them warm at night, and he fed them and he babied them until it took them 40 years to grow up. I hope it doesn't take us that long to mature. We need to do that a lot more quicker. We got to do it rapidly. Yeah, help us in that area, please. Okay, so this cloud, if there's 1.5 million people, I did some mathematics here. It would be 2 miles long. This cloud would be 2 miles by 2.5 miles wide. That is a huge cloud over your head. That would freak people out. This is why many people, when they saw the Israelites in this giant cloud over them, it freaked them out. That's quite an ominous thing to see. I mean, that's a lot of people and a big cloud over them that follow them wherever they go. I mean, that's powerful. And if they were traveling with 1.5 million people, and if they were walking 82 feet wide, right? Then this would stretch about 12 miles. This cloud would be about 13 miles long, which is kind of a trip. So this cloud would cover them wherever they walked and keep the sun off of them, so they wouldn't get sunburned. So 13 miles long cloud. That is a long cloud, and there would probably be blue skies and just cloud over them. It would be quite an amazing thing to see, and we're going to see it in the future. So I think that's awesome. So Numbers 10, I really like Numbers 10 because this is where we're commanded to fellowship on the new moons, and many people don't fellowship on the new moons. It is a commanded fellowship day, a commanded gathering. Now, some people say it's not a Sabbath, and I'm okay with that because it doesn't say it's a Sabbath. It means you have to rest and not work. Now, that's okay. But it is a commanded gathering day, and I believe it's definitely it's a Moedim. And what is an Moedim? It's an appointment with Yahweh. So it's a date with Yahweh. It is definitely a Moedim. In Genesis 1:14, it is definitely a Moedim. And so we want to make sure that we keep this Moedim. If you had a date with the Queen of England and you were going to meet with her, would you go to work? No, you wouldn't. Of course not. And you would go and meet with her, right? And this is the same thing with the Father. So I don't personally work on it because it's a date with Yahweh. I don't want to be at work. How can you have a date it's like if you want to go on a date with your girlfriend or your wife and you go to work? Really? That's not going to make her happy at all. And so it's the same thing with Yahweh. He doesn't want you to go and be somewhere else when it's an appointed time. It's a Moedim, Genesis 1:14. And also in this Numbers 10, it indicates it. So it's verse 1 and verse 10 in Numbers 10. And I'll read that here shortly. But yes, we are commanded to blow the silver trumpets on the new moons, the Sabbath, and the holy days. And you would blow a long blast, right? You blow a long blast for a gathering. Now, if you're going to war, if you're going to battle, you would do short blast, like that. And if you're doing a long blast, you just do a long blast for the gathering. So I could try it with my shofar. I'll show you. Let's see. Okay, so here's the. I'm going to attempt to do the battle cry. That would be the battle cry. And that would be the gathering of the assembly. Okay, yeah, so I have a silver trumpet and I do use that. And I think it's good. So let me go ahead and read Numbers 10:1 and then 10:10 so you can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about here. 10:1. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Make two trumpets of silver, of whole pieces shalt thou make them, that thou mayest. I'm going to read this in the English. I'm sorry, I can't read King James. Make 2 trumpets of silver. You shall make them of beaten work. You shall use them for the calling of the congregation and for the journeying of the camps. Okay? When you blow them, the congregation shall gather themselves at the door of the tent of meeting. Okay, so you see that it says here, the gathering of the congregation, the calling of the congregation. So, and then we read Numbers 10 right here. And also in the day of your gladness, your set feast, the holy days, and the beginning of your month. So the day of your gladness is the Sabbath. This is our gladness, right? Because it's the Sabbath. Every week we get to rest and praise Yah, and just a beautiful day. Eat food, and we don't have to cook and stuff like that. And in the feasts are the holy days and the beginning of your months. Right here, the beginning of your months. You shall blow the trumpets. And so what he's saying is blow the trumpets because you're going to be gathering on this day. So this is the command to gather right here. Okay, when we blow the silver trumpets, we gather. And it's a Moedim. So we are commanded to gather on the new moons. And this is why it's important to pick a new moon, crescent, conjunction, or whatever, and make sure you gather every month, or you have a fellowship with 1 or more people. When 2 or more are gathered, there's Yahweh. So don't forget to do that. This is super important. We don't want to skip any Moedim to appointed times with Yahweh. It's super important. Now you can work. I'm not saying you can't work, because there is no command not to work. Don't get me wrong. I personally don't work because it's an appointed time with Yahweh. But there is no command, so if you do work, it's not going to be a sin. I don't believe it's a sin. Okay, I just want to clarify that. I don't think it's a sin if you do work, but make sure you set apart time for Yahweh within that day, and have a gathering with 1 or more people. You can do it over the phone if you don't have friends, but make sure that you do have a gathering. It is commanded, and if you have a silver trumpet, you can blow it if you want to. Okay, but that's debatable too, because some people don't believe you can do that. But I believe that we are priests in training. We're priests in training, and it says so in Revelation. We're priests and kings in 1 Peter 2:9. So yeah. So gather on the new moon and have a feast. You can cook on that day. All right, praise Yahweh, man. He gives us every month. He gives us a time to fellowship with Him. Every week, every 6 months on the holy days, and on Pentecost, of course, is Shavuot. And every 7 years, He gives us a whole year off. What a beautiful Almighty! It's kind of like a picture of what it was like in the garden, where you didn't have to work, and you just fellowship with Yahweh, and you just got to be with Him. So awesome. And also on the 50th year, which is Jubilee. So if you're ever, we're always in battles, right? We have battles at work. We have battles, in relationships. We have battles. And we have trials that we run into. We get sick or whatever. Then blow the shofar, blow this trumpet, the silver trumpet, and do the war cry. Do the war cry. I mean, and what's funny is, I was watching F Troop, and they would blow the bugle before they would go to war, and they would do the same thing. I don't know exactly how they did it, but let me see if I can find it real quick. Old bugle cries that they would use, and so I'm just going to play them for you. You can listen to this, and I find it fascinating that they still use this to this day, and it's been like 3,000 years? 3,500 maybe? Okay. Anyways, take a listen.
First call sounded as a warning for personnel to prepare to assemble for a formation. The sound of reveille told the men to crawl out from under their blankets and prepare for the day. Reveille was followed by assembly, signaling them to form ranks for the first of 3 roll calls held throughout the day. Assignments for guard duty followed the 9 a.m. call of guard mount.
Okay, so I just think it's pretty fascinating that they're all short blasts, and these are the war. This is for the military, and this would be the calling of the congregation, and their and it would be for mostly war battle stuff.
All sounded as a warning to turn out for drill.
Notice they're all short blasts. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting that they still do that. They still did this, and they still do this, I think, in the military today. And so talking about this manna, this word is actually M-A-N. It means man, but they added an A to it so that it wouldn't sound weird, because you don't want to be eating man. It would be eating manna. So they added an A to it, which makes it a lot more better sounding in the English, of course. And this manna is it had all the amino acids, had all the trace minerals, and it had all the carbohydrates you need. I think it was like a superfood of all superfoods, man. And you can make manna pancakes, manna spaghetti, manna muffins, and manna banana pancakes. I mean, come on, there's so many things you could make. I would be happy to have manna right now, man. It would be cool. It would be quite an honor to be able to eat that. And these people were complaining, and they really only had to eat it for a year, and he was going to take them into the promised land. But if they failed 7 out of the 10 tests, and most of them they were complaining. If we don't complain in this life, guess what? Yah will bless us, and we might get the blessings that He wants to give us. So it's super important not to complain, and so we want to try never to complain ever, because it's the sin of ungratefulness. Yah's going to give us what we need, not what we want. We're not going to get, gourmet meals every day, and that's okay, because when we make it to the kingdom, we can have gourmet meals every day almost. I'm sure. So we have the average person only lives 78 years. So you got 78 years. You got to rough it out. You got to fight the good fight, and guess what? Then you'll be in paradise. You'll be back in the Garden of Eden. Eden means pleasures, so you'll be in the Garden of Pleasures again, back with Yahweh. Okay, so here's the question of the week: did Moses get married? Did he really get married to another woman and have a second wife and divorce Zipporah? And I'm going to tell you right now, I believe definitely not. There is more evidence in Scripture pointing to him not getting a second wife, not getting married again. And there is more evidence showing that he's still with that same wife, Zipporah. And the reason why is because we don't see any evidence of a second marriage. We don't see any evidence anywhere that he had a second wife. And there's no evidence of a divorce. In fact, there's a verse in here that says that Hobab, which was his, let's see. Let me find it. Numbers 10:29. It says, Moses said to Hobab, the son of Ruel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. So here it says it's Moses' father-in-law. So he's still married to Zipporah. He can't be Moses' father-in-law unless he's still married. So this whole theory that he got married again is just that. It's just a theory, and everyone believes that he had a second wife, and it's not true. And I'll give you some more evidence right here. So, and Moses, okay, so here it is. He's called the father-in-law, right? Moses says Reuel is his father-in-law. He's a Midianite, and this is Zipporah's father. And Numbers 12 is where Miriam accuses him of marrying this Ethiopian. Now, okay, between Numbers 10 and Numbers 12, I only think maybe a month has passed, if that. It's a short amount of time. Maybe 3 months, but there's no evidence anywhere that he divorced Zipporah from this point to Numbers 12. It could have been just a few weeks or a week, right? And so this is just a theory of a misunderstanding on geographic information, right? So the land of Cush, or Ethiopia, was the northeastern side of Africa. It included all of where northeastern Africa was, right? But they had power and controlled the Sinai Peninsula, right? So this land of Cush they were like the giant land of Cush, and they had control over the Sinai Peninsula. The Midianites lived, Zipporah was a Midianite. She lived in the Sinai Peninsula, I believe, based on my historical research and geographical research. She lived in the land of Midian. The Sinai Peninsula, which was like a possession of Cush. They didn't really take over that land, but they pretty much owned it. It's kind of like saying, where are you from? I'm from California. But you're really from San Diego, right? So it's kind of like, or how about this? It's like this. You're talking to somebody in Europe. You're traveling to Europe, and so where are you from? And you say America, but you're really from California, right? In San Diego, in California. So you're really in California, but you're not. Okay, I'll give you a better example. Okay, Guam is like America owns Guam, right? And they have all the rights. They get tax money. They get benefits. They get all these. They can get citizenship and be American citizen, and all these. They have all these same rights, but they're not an American. America doesn't own Guam, right? And so this would be the same thing with the Sinai Peninsula. They pretty much controlled the Sinai Peninsula, but it wasn't really their territory, but it kind of was. And so when they said that she married an Ethiopian, she's pointing to Sinai Peninsula, which Cush kind of dominated over the Sinai Peninsula. And so that's why it was the biggest territory. So Cush and Ethiopia are the same thing. And so when she says, why did you marry this Ethiopian? What she's really saying is Zipporah is a Midianite. She's not an Israelite. Why did you marry a Midianite instead of an Israelite who follows Yahweh? Well, she does follow Yahweh. She converted. And I think this was the big problem with Miriam. She wanted him to be a pure blood Israelite. And, we can be grafted in, and that's okay. And so Miriam was punished for that, and she got leprosy for doing that. And so I don't believe that he married someone else, and there's not enough evidence to support that. And there's more evidence pointing to him being with his same wife, but she wasn't an Israelite, she was a Midianite. And that was the problem that Miriam had with Zipporah. And that was mean, because Zipporah seemed like a really nice lady. Beautiful thing, you know what the beautiful thing about this is? Moses was the most humble man on earth, right? And this verse can teach us a lot, because Yah loves the humble and hates the prideful. So how did we become more humble? By giving all the glory to Yahweh. So if somebody makes a lot of money at their job or something, if they take any credit for that would be pride. But if they give all glory to Yahweh, that would be humble. But what I found really interesting is here is these people saying all this bad stuff to Moses, and what does he do? He forgives them and prays for them. He's praying for Miriam to not have leprosy. What a beautiful way to act, What a nice man. And this is the way we should all act. I found this one verse during this study that in Joshua 24:26. The Bible should not be called the Bible. That Bible just means books, and it's the scriptures sounds more accurate. But really, Joshua tells us what it should be called. It's called the Book of the Law. Joshua 24:26 tells us, and Joshua recorded these things in the Book of the Law of Yah. Then he took a large stone and set it up under the oak near the holy place of Yahweh. So it should be called the Book of the Law. That's or the Book of the Covenant even. This is the name of what it is according to the scriptures, the Bible, the Book of the Law. Okay, what I saw in this from reading this Torah portion is, they believed they were being punished. They thought they had sinned and they were being punished, and they were going to die in the desert. They even said it. They spoke their own curse. They said, we're going to die in the desert. And so they spoke their own curse, and they did die in the desert. Only 2 people were able to make it into the kingdom, Caleb and Joshua. And so this is fascinating because a lot of times people go through trials and we're just being tested. We're not being punished. We're being tested. He wants to see how we react. And so it's not a punishment. If you're going through a tough time, it's not a punishment. It's a test to see how you will go through it. If you come through righteously, and then you have succeeded. If you complain or you feel like you're being punished and speak your own curse, you want to make sure your words that come out of your mouth are speaking life and they're speaking love. And even when you're being trusted and tried and put through a very tough situations, you need to make sure that you're understand that it's just a test. This whole life is a test. And if you pass the test, then you get to go to the Garden of Eden and be in the New Jerusalem, the Garden of Pleasures. Okay, a lot of Jewish people believe that a lot of Jewish people don't understand this, but they were scattered. In Zechariah it says scattered. Zechariah 1:19 says they were scattered through the whole earth. So many people out there don't even know they're Jewish, and they are. In the 1600s, the Sephardic Jews moved to South America, South America, Mexico, and Southern America, which is the land where we live, the southern United States. So a lot of people don't even realize that they're Jewish and could be more Jewish than they even know. And so, and this is proof. It says right here, in Isaiah 11 says they were scattered to the four corners of the earth. And so a lot of people don't understand. They're either Israelite or Jewish or have at least, I believe, it's my firm belief that almost everybody on earth has at least some Israelite blood because they've been scattered to the four corners of the earth. And we have to go along with Scripture. Okay, what I saw in Scripture is another thing. I see different levels of sin, and it ties to having dirt on your garments, right? On Yom Kippur, we wear white, right? And I notice when we wear white, it gets dirty really quick, and you got to be careful what you touch and what you do, because when you're wearing all white like a priest, and I think it's okay to wear white I think it's a great tradition because it's our wedding day, right? The Day of Atonement, the Jews wear all white. And that's why I wear white now, because I didn't used to, because I thought it was a Jewish tradition that we shouldn't do. But now that I know it's the wedding day, I'm going to wear white because I want to get married to the Messiah or Yahweh or whoever. And so the Jews are still married to Yahweh. And so if you're Jewish, you're still married to Yahweh. But if you're an Israelite, any of the other 11 tribes, then you're going to marry Yeshua. So that's how that works, basically. Anyway, the southern kingdom actually included Levites, the tribe of Benjamin, some of Ephraim. So if some people are still married to Yahweh, and some people will marry Yeshua when he returns. Either way, you're going to be part of the royal family. And it's all symbolic anyways. You want to be part of the royal family. Either way, it's good. Okay, back to the thing. So when you're wearing all white, right, and you're walking around, you get dirt. You have to constantly be getting the dirt off. And so what does this represent? So when we get, I see in Joshua 3, I was reading Zechariah 3, sorry. Joshua the high priest was wearing filthy garments. It's symbolic of the sin that our high priest is going to take away. Yeshua, our high priest, is going to take that away in the future. And this is that whole Zechariah 3 is about that. I'm not going to get into that, but basically, when we get a stain on our garment, that's a little sin. Okay, and we clean that off, right? And then when you're wearing completely filthy garments, this is talking scripturally, then that is worse sin. That's even worse sin, right? And if your garment is ripped or torn, or if you rip your garments, that's even a worse sin. This is what Caiaphas did when Yeshua, they asked him, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the Son of the Almighty?" And he said, "Yes, I am. You say so." And so he ripped his garments, showing what a great sin he did by not believing that he was the son of Yeshua. So that was a great sin for him not believing that. And also the fact that he ripped the garments. A high priest is not allowed, according to the Torah, to rip his garments. That is against the law. So he did two major sins there. He ripped his garments, and he didn't believe the Messiah, which is even a worse sin than ripping your garments. So, and then the fourth level is not having any clothes at all is the worst sin you could possibly do. Adam and Eve sinned in the very presence of Yahweh, and they lost their clothing, their spiritual bodies. They lost that light. They had eternal life. They were going to live forever. And they lost that and went into the physical world. And so they were made in the image of Yahweh, and they lost that image. And only Yeshua is the only man who brought it back. And so he's going to be a brighter light than the sun, it says in Revelation. And so I believe that these clothing that they had, they were clothed in white light. And they were bright, and this is how they had their spiritual bodies, and they lost those, and now they're in the physical. And now in Genesis 5 it says that we are made in the image of Adam. We're not made in the image of Yahweh. Yahweh is spiritual. We're in the physical. We're subject to aging and death, just like Adam and Eve. And so we need to gain back that body. But anyways, they lost that body, and they were completely naked. And also, when they grabbed Yeshua, also in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? They weren't in the Garden of Eden like Adam and Eve, but they were in the Garden of Gethsemane, and they had their clothes. Okay, so what happened there is the Pharisees got Yeshua, and they captured him, and they were going to have him killed, which was a horrible sin. And there was a man that was there who had his clothes on, and he ran quickly to get away, and his clothes came off, and he ran away with no clothes on. And so that was symbolic of this great sin, also in a garden, of killing the second Adam, who that was a horrible sin by the Pharisees, and that's why this person lost his clothes. And that's why that is written in the scriptures, because so when you don't have any clothes, that is a big sin. If you have ripped your clothes, that's another sin. It's a little bit less. And then if you have filthy garments, that's a sin, but not as bad as ripping the clothes. And if you have a little stain on your shirt, and that's not as bad. But we want to be pretending like we have all white on all the time, or wear white all the time, and keep ourselves clean physically, and also, more importantly, spiritually. We want to keep our clean. And for Yah's sake, keep your clothes on. Except when you're with your wife or whatever. Okay. Anyways, all right. Well, yeah, so that's what I see in Scripture. And I just wanted to talk about one last thing, and that is birthdays. And I found something very interesting in Scripture. When I'm reading about birthdays, I don't celebrate birthdays because I don't want to have a set-apart day for myself. I want to do what Yah tells us to do. He shows us what feast days to do. That's the Sabbath, the new moons, the holy days, and the 7-year yearly Sabbath and the Jubilee. And these are the days we're supposed to do. Okay, so we don't got to make up our own rules. We're not going to. This is Yah's world, not ours. We don't have birthdays. Okay, let's have birthdays. Let's have our own day where we set apart ourselves higher than Yahweh. We don't really want to do that. And what I saw in Scripture is Pharaoh was having a birthday. And what did he do on his birthday? He sacrificed a human. He killed the baker on his birthday. He waited for his birthday to kill this guy. So it's like he's giving a sacrifice of a human to himself. Sacrificing a human, and this was a big celebration for him. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And then this has also happened with John the Baptist, this righteous man, son of a high priest, the son of Aaron, and I believe he was the son of Zadok too, but I'm not going to get into that today. But anyways, Salome, which was the daughter-in-law to King Herod. King Herod was married to Herodias, which was her mother. It was her birthday, Salome, and they asked for for her birthday present. They asked for John the Baptist's death. This is disgusting. So they did a sacrifice of a human and brought his head on a platter. On a platter. This is a sacrifice, human sacrifice. So on birthdays, pagans would do sacrifices of humans on birthdays. This is a huge indication that we do not want any part of birthdays. It's a pagan practice, number one. It's by kings who thought they were gods. Kings think they're gods on earth, and they're doing sacrifices to themselves. They have all this power and control, and they're like gods. And the last reason why is Job 1. If you read Job 1, just read chapter 1, his sons were having set apart days for themselves. They were having birthdays, it says in the NIV. They were having birthday parties for themselves, and so much so that Job thought it was a sin, and he was doing sacrifices because he knew it was a sin. And guess what? All his children were killed right after that. And Job was punished severely. He got sick. He lost all his wealth and everything. But he never denied Yah's name, and he never denied Yahweh, and he took full responsibility for this sin, allowing his children to do this. And so this is telling us a story. Let's just do what Yah says to do. Let's not make up our own rules. And this doing a birthday or Christmas or Easter is making up your own rules. You're following the traditions of man. And what does the Father say? In vain they worship me, doing traditions of man. Yah has the holy days and the celebrations. We get a party every week, Saturday. Buy your son's presents and your daughter's presents on Saturday. Every Saturday, buy them a present. That is the weekly party that we can give glory to Yahweh. Okay, so we get a party every week, and on the new moons, once a month on the new moon, buy your kids a present and get them some ice cream. This is new moon, let's celebrate. But we're doing it for Yahweh, we're not doing it for them. Okay, and so you get a party every week with your son, and you get a party every month, and on the holy days especially, you want to be extra generous to your children. Okay, so Yah has rules for us, and we want to follow His rules if we want to be a citizen in His kingdom. If you want to be a member of a church and a part of a religion, then you can follow these vain traditions of men, but it's not going to lead you to success. It's not going to lead you to the Garden of Eden, the New Jerusalem, and that's where we want to be. So I'm going to pray right now. I pray in the name of Yeshua, Father, please guide us and lead us to be the citizens in your kingdom, Father. Lead us to the New Jerusalem. Let us be set apart to you. Let's follow only your rules in Scripture. Let us be citizens in your kingdom. Let us be citizens and servants in your kingdom, Father. And let us seek your face, Father. Seek your beautiful face every day. And to give glory, everything we do to give glory to you, Father, in your kingdom. And let us abide in your Son, and let Him abide in us, so that we can walk this walk out, not by our own power, but by your power, Father. Pour out your Ruach HaKodesh. Drench us with your Ruach HaKodesh, Father, so that we can be the righteous people that you've designed us to be, so we can eat of the tree of life. And it says that those who keep your commandments will have the right to eat of the tree of life, it says in Revelation. And we want that right, Father. We not only want to eat of the tree of life, which has a different fruit every month, but we ask that you put your name on our forehead, Father. You give us a new name on a white stone. Write our names in the book of life, and not only in the book of life, but in the Lamb's book of life, Father. Please find us worthy. Help us to make it into your kingdom, Father. And help us to be able to be in the New Jerusalem and see your face. We get to see your face, Father. So help us, lead us, guide us, and direct us, Father. Let your will be done, not ours, Father. We praise you and love you in Yeshua's name. I hope this is a blessing to you, and I hope it helps you want to desire to seek Him more in prayer, seek Him more by reading the Scriptures, and seek His glorious face. Have a great day. Have a blessed day.